Hey, happy Tuesday. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon for your lunchtime forecast. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox with Hail Trace, and today we're talking about another round of storms to hit the northern plains and the Midwest. All hazards are possible again today. Storms are likely through Thursday, so we have a risk for storms today, tomorrow, and Thursday. We could even see another round on Friday. And hey, we are back to tracking the tropics. We have increasing confidence for some tropical development, and we'll talk about that as well down in the Atlantic. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But I do want to mention the Not So Many trade show hosted by NTRCA. This is on August 8th, which is next week, down in Grapevine, Texas. It goes from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and of course Hail Trace will be there. So we would love that you come and stop by our booth. That is again down in DFW in Grapevine, Texas on August 8th. And we have all the information of where you can purchase tickets and get more information on that event on our Facebook page. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at what we saw yesterday. It looks like we did see several tornadoes or reported tornadoes out to the Midwest in Indiana, Illinois, just to the north of Cincinnati and to the north of St. Louis there. Tons of wind reports from these storms yesterday, and we did see some pretty decent hail as well. Some pretty impressive hail just to the east of Rapid City. And then if we head farther up to the north, Bismarck, that is where we saw some of the most impressive hail yesterday, actually getting a report of a 3-inch hailstone. So that's pretty impressive. That is just a bit larger than baseball-sized hail. So could we see that once again today? I think that it is possible. We are once again going to see another chance for showers and storms in a very similar place to where we saw storms yesterday as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at those rainfall totals yesterday. Not terribly impressive for most of us. It looks pretty scattered to spotty. Farther out to the south and east, very, very dry out to the west. That is going to be a very, very common thing that we see once again for today. Very dry out to the west, and then more chances for showers and storms farther to the east. So you can see that we've got showers and storms with one lone severe thunderstorm warning in Virginia right now. There are showers and storms that go all the way up to the Great Lakes, but the biggest chance and the best chances for severe weather are going to be farther back to the west, and that is where you see those pink highlighted polygons here. That is a severe thunderstorm watch for now. That is what we see just to the south of places like Omaha. You can see that this cluster of storms is moving farther to the south and east. We're going to continue to watch this cluster all the way through the afternoon and evening hours. It will most likely produce severe thunderstorms all the way through, or strong to severe thunderstorms all the way through the afternoon and evening hours in this area. But we'll talk about the forecast in just a minute. Let's get to your current temperatures right now. It is hot out there today. Temperatures are in the 90s across a good portion of the central portion of the U.S. 92 in Oklahoma City, 91 in Kansas City, 92 in Denver. Toasty out there. 96 in Las Vegas. We've got the 80s up the East Coast there. 70s. Let's see, who has the nicest temperature? 72 in Portland and in Boise. That looks very nice. It's toasty here in Oklahoma City. 97 up in Stillwater. Stillwater has been the hottest over the last 2 days here. 88 in Dallas, not too bad. However, we've got 92 degrees in Fort Worth. So as you get out for your lunchtime, maybe try to either find a patio or some AC to eat lunch in. The feel like temperature, this is the actual temperature plus the humidity, plus that moisture in the air. So that's what it feels like as you head out the door today. It feels like 102 in Memphis. It feels like 101 down in Florida. So I think Memphis has the highest humidity. Oh wait, St. Louis. 104 in St. Louis right now. Not only do we have storms in this area, but we also have that high heat. Now remember, the higher the feel like temperature, the harder it is for your body to cool itself down. So make sure that you are drinking plenty of water today. All right, let's talk about that storm chance that we have later on this afternoon and evening. You can see the instability is very, very promising, or much greater in these areas, anywhere from the northern plains all the way down to the Midwest. These are going to be areas such as northern Nebraska, all the way up to South Dakota, through Iowa, down into St. Louis, and then even into places like Kentucky and northern Tennessee. You can see some of these storms here that we're seeing right now start to use up a lot of that instability as we head into the late night hours, decreasing that severe chance. However, we have to get through this afternoon and evening first with all of those severe storms. What about your hail model here? Promising areas to see some pretty decent hail all the way through places like Iowa, Nebraska, South Dakota, and then down to the south, as far south as Kentucky and Tennessee. A lot of places today, wait until you see that hail map, are going to see some pretty decent sized hail. So let's jump right into it. Let's take a look at that hail map. There we go. Okay, today's hail map, you can see we've got the largest hail expected to be anywhere from northern Nebraska all the way up to northern Iowa. We can put our probability, our risk level on here, and you can see that we've got some isolated storms in Sioux Falls. It looks like we're going to have a lower chance to see any hail in this area. A much better chance in places like Bismarck, through central North Dakota, northern South Dakota here. A really good chance to see some good hail in places like Omaha. As we head farther down to the south, this hail is going to be smaller in places like Nashville and Louisville. However, we still have a really good chance for those wide scattered showers and storms in this area. If they go severe, that hail may be on the smaller size, but we do have a pretty good chance to see hail in this area. All right, let's take a look at what to expect in terms of some of our other hazards. Oh, your max forecasted hail size. We saw baseball-sized hail yesterday. I think that we could see that once again today. I think it will be isolated, not everyone seeing baseball-sized hail. However, it's definitely possible for today. All right, other hazards here. We're talking about a high wind threat today, very similar to what we saw yesterday. We'll probably see a lot of wind reports through this area. Your wind speeds up to 95 miles an hour. In some places, very isolated here, we could see higher than 95 miles an hour. Very isolated. I think that most of us will see between that mid 70s range to low 80s range for some of those stronger storms. And mainly, I do think that'll be on the southern side of this. I think we'll have a better chance to see that wind farther down to the south. What about that tornado risk? It's a very low risk for today, but it's very widespread. So that tornado risk impacts quite a few people here. However, it is a low risk for an isolated tornado or two, anywhere from North Dakota through Nebraska, through the Midwest, and then all the way down to the south in places like Kentucky and Tennessee. So a lot of people, once again, dealing with that tornado risk today. Let's take a look at the future radar. You can see that those showers and storms have already begun in central Iowa, but we'll talk about that in just a minute. I want to turn your attention to some of those afternoon and evening storms through North and South Dakota, and then all the way down into Nebraska. I do think that this will go through the late night hours tonight. And now looking at tomorrow morning, we could once again continue to see showers and storms in a very similar place through central Iowa. Okay, now let's talk about this afternoon in the Midwest. You can see that this is what we're watching for right now, that severe thunderstorm watch in place for these storms out of Iowa, moving to the south and east. We've got some scattered showers and storms farther down into Tennessee and Kentucky, but what we're really watching for is this cluster that will go through St. Louis. This will continue to track down to the south and east, just to the south of Cincinnati. I mentioned places like Cincinnati and Nashville. We could get some small hail out of this, but again, you can see that this cluster is pretty widespread, so we could get a decent amount of hail through this. I still think that one of the biggest hazards here will be that wind threat for the storms later on today. And that'll go through the late night hours. So if it does wake you up overnight, make sure that you have all of those weather alerts turned on so you know exactly what to do in case those storms wake you up. Other than that, showers and storms look pretty mild across places like the Northeast all the way down to the south. Very isolated storms for some of these folks who dealt with the flooding last week. However, not dealing with the flooding anymore. It looks like very isolated storms in this area. And then farther down to the south, we could once again see showers and storms in places like Tucson and southern Arizona, But out to the west, it is very, very dry. We're probably not going to see any rain, maybe a very, very few isolated storms out to the west. And that is why, of course, we have that fire concern. Once again, it's elevated out to the west. Make sure that you refrain from any outdoor burning until conditions improve. It's very, very hot and dry in this area. There's your storm chance for today. On top of the risks that we already talked about, we've got that flooding, or we've got that hail, high wind and tornado risk. You're also going to have a flooding risk in this area as well. So as you head home from work today, make sure that you are keeping an eye on the radar because you could see ponding on the roadways, which could delay your drive home. All right, let's take a look at what to expect over the next few days. I think we're talking about heat now. Oh, there you go, surface smoke. We've still got some ongoing fires farther out to the west, so you could have some hazy skies anywhere from Colorado all the way up to the north in places like Montana and Idaho. And of course, we've been talking about that extreme heat. We have heat watches, warnings, and advisories all the way from South Dakota down to Oklahoma, Texas. A lot of us have well above average temperatures here. And one of the biggest kickers about these high temperatures is not necessarily the afternoon temperatures. Of course, it's hot, but we're used to that here in Oklahoma, Kansas, and Texas, all the way down to the south and east. We're used to those triple degree temperatures. The big kicker with this is those overnight temperatures. We do not get a chance to cool down. Temperatures are still in the 70s through the overnight hours, so it's very, very difficult for your body to cool down with no break in sight. So unfortunately, we are dealing with that over the next few days. Taking a look at the future radar, we have another chance for showers and storms, once again strong to severe as we head into your Wednesday. We, of course, will be watching this for all hazards once again, including that tornado, high wind, and hail risk. You can see that start to line up in the late evening hours, continuing through the late night hours once again. So, of course, we'll be talking about that tomorrow in your noon forecast. Okay, now let's talk about that heat. I think that's what's coming up next. Yeah, there you go, future temperatures here. Temperatures in the upper 90s, if not triple digits in Oklahoma City for tomorrow. It looks like that's a very similar story through places like Kansas City, Dallas, Albuquerque, upper 90s, low triple digits. 102, holy moly, Oklahoma City is going for it at that century mark, and Dallas on Thursday. Let's see Friday, do we reach the century mark again? Yep, 103 here in Oklahoma City, 101 in Dallas. So as I mentioned, the heat is going to stick around. It looks like it's going to stick around through the very beginning of August. This is all the way through the first week of August. It's a high likelihood to be above average all the way through the first week of August. So this heat is not going away anytime soon. These are your average temperatures. So we've got a pretty high likelihood to be above these temperatures right here. All right, what about your rain chances? We've seen pretty consistent rain farther up to the Midwest and into the northern plains. Southeast got some good rain over the last few weeks, but it does look like we're going to start to dry up in some of these places. Here's some great news. It looks like we're going to be above average for those rainfall totals through the first week of August. That is great news right there. Hopefully cooling some of us down, but of course we're staying below average for rainfall farther out to the east. Okay, we've been talking about tracking the tropics here. What is your next tropical development? Well, right now it's still just a bunch of clouds and some waves. We call this a disturbance. Farther out in the Atlantic, it does look like the track will take this towards Florida. It's going to take some time for this all to develop. However, several models want to take this near Florida. Others want to take this up the East Coast. So we'll be watching that for the next 7 days, at least here. Over the next 2 days, the National Hurricane Center has a 0% chance for significant development. However, after that, about 5 days later, it does look like we could see some better development. Confidence is increasing with this, so we'll just keep an eye on it as we get into this weekend and early next week. All right, thanks for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon. I hope you have a fantastic Tuesday. Go get some lunch, enjoy the AC, make sure that you hydrate. Watch those storms later on today. Of course, we'll be tracking that for you. Here at Hail Trace, we'll be making those hail maps, wind maps, and tornado maps. So if you are interested in a map, give us a call at 855-334-4245. Email us at info@hailtrace.com or head over to our website, hailtrace.com. You can also follow us. We post all about the weather and the interesting things about the weather on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. This is where we keep you up to date on things like the tropics and the most significant hail sizes that we see day to day. All right, thanks for joining us on your Tuesday. We'll be back here same time, same place for your Wednesday forecast.